I'm Jessica Short and this is Just Causes. We're a program about advocates, activists and campaigners committed to positive change. Remember this name, the Refugee Rights Action Network. They're passionate, loud, opinionated and unapologetic. The network has a simple aim, to welcome refugees to Australia by ending mandatory detention.
The inhumanity is incomprehensible.
Horrible racist attack.
Right now, across Australia, there are more than 6,000 people being held in detention centres.
As an organisation, we campaign against mandatory detention completely.
The Refugee Rights Action Network is a not-for-profit activist group that believes Australia's treatment of refugees is appalling.
We think that any form of detention to asylum seekers is inherently racist and abusive, so that people should just be introduced into the community.
RAN opposes organisations such as Serco, who run Australia's detention centres. They are concerned refugees are being abused and mistreated.
To live within a country that has locked you up without reason, without trial, and has shown you not humanity but arrogance and racism, then you're gonna feel and suffer that damage for the rest of your life. So that's the point, is that these people aren't essentially irreparable when they come here. It's the government and the system that is breaking them.
Quite often the refugee advocacy groups are well-meaning, but they've got it wrong.
Don Randall is the federal Liberal MP for Canning. He says activist groups such as RAN are doing more harm than good.
They want to break down our security on our borders. They want to break down an orderly migration system to suit their own ideological purposes.
At a recent protest against Serco, police were on hand to make sure the demonstration did not get out of control. This is not the first time RAN has had a run-in with the authorities. 16 members were arrested last year while protesting outside the Curtin Detention Centre in WA. These clashes show just how passionate members of RAN are about their cause.
I think that's why everyone's here today, just to prove the point that refugees are people as well.
I believe refugees have a fundamental right to seek asylum in Australia.
RAN's strong opposition to mandatory detention is fuelled by the negative mental health effects refugees are prone to suffer as a result of detainment.
One of the significant impacts of detention is the mental health impact. You find, like in Christmas Island Detention Centre, there's approximately 3 attempted hangings a day, and that's in one detention centre.
RAN says mandatory detention has created a catalogue of misery.
In Darwin Detention Centre recently there was 4 attempted suicides in a span of 2 weeks. You have children as young as 10 self-harming through, cutting their wrists, drinking shampoo, any means possible. There's a ton of, reports from psychologists and doctors affirming this.
These people are vulnerable, they have a great deal of uncertainty. Many of them have high levels of anxiety, suffer from depression, are at risk of self-harm, suicide.
The opposition's Liliana Ravlich shares RAN's view the only way to overcome these issues is to shut down detention centres and welcome refugees into the community.
Certainly being a part of the broader community would be of benefit to refugees in detention centres.
RAN says they will continue to challenge authorities and actively protest the rights of refugees in Australia.
People in detention have said the best thing for their mental health is to know that there's people outside fighting for them. When we're yelling at the fence or we're yelling at a Serco guard when an asylum seeker can't, we're making the point clear that we don't support this and that we support the people inside and we think they should be outside.
Sarah Ross and Miranda Wood are with the Refugee Rights Action Network. Welcome to Just Causes. Sarah, why should Australia host asylum seekers and refugees?
Australia is a signatory of the UN Refugee Convention, which was a convention created after World War II to deal with refugees who needed to flee immediately. Under this convention it says that it is legal to seek asylum, so under international law Australia has an obligation two people seeking asylum, and also just on an ethical basis, it's completely unjust and unethical to turn away people asking for help.
And Miranda, how can refugees make a positive contribution to Australian society?
Well, I think people tend to be fed this idea that refugees somehow don't have communities in their own homes, in their own countries, and you know, these are people coming here who are professionals, who are, you know, skilled, who are tradespeople, who are teachers and nurses and doctors. These people have just as much to give as anybody else, and I think the idea that because they're coming from a different country, from a different religion, that they somehow have a different way of life is, you know, it tends to be quite xenophobic and quite racist at times when they have just as much to give as anybody else.
Okay, thanks. And Sarah, what is your response to the comment that accepting asylum seekers can support people smuggling?
I think that is completely false and completely lacking of any analysis whatsoever. You'll find in the history of asylum seeker flows, when the Howard government introduced the most abhorrent policies that, you know, they were completely inhumane, that more people actually came by boat. And people come by boat because of what is happening in the source country. So we have a trend with the Iraq War, the Sri Lankan Civil War, the invasion in Afghanistan. So people will come, you know, in relation to what they're fleeing from, and you'll find that people smuggling will spring up whenever that's happening. So whenever there's a need for people to flee, there will be people smugglers, and that is uninfluenced whatsoever by our policy on asylum seekers or how we treat them when they get here.
Okay. And Miranda, how should Australia's current refugee processing system be changed?
Well, I mean, mandatory detention should be done away with. There is no need for it. It's completely inhumane. It's completely unethical. It's unlawful, and in fact, it can't be challenged in a court of law. So, you know, there's no legal way for these people to actually protest their imprisonment. So, I think mandatory detention should be done away with, and I think that immigration should be allowed freely. There's no economic or, you know, geographical or social reason Australia can't allow more refugees in. Australia takes an extremely low intake of refugees every year. Tanzania, for example, is an extraordinarily small country, and it has about 1 refugee to every 76 people, and it's in a far worse position than a rich Western country like Australia. And, you know, when refugees have been allowed in the past, they've worked in the community, they've lived freely in the community, and people have hugely benefited from this kind of cultural interaction. There's no reason it can't happen.
Okay. And Sarah, what is your opinion on the belief that refugees pose a threat to national security?
I think it's completely a belief that is meant to perpetuate fear in the public, to create a fear of people coming here by boat, and therefore to make them accept harsh policies on asylum seekers. For boat people only make up less than 1% of the population, so I mean, and even it's the people who are coming by boat are families and people who want safety and, you know, to build a home and create a safe place for their family to come to. So they're not the type of people that would want to generate crime because they want to be accepted into the community. So I think that's a completely false stereotype and so far from the truth.
Thank you both for being a part of Just Causes.
Thank you.
You're about to meet an incredible young woman. Vicky Burrows is only 24, but she's already crammed a lot into her short life. As well as working at Save the Children to keep at-risk kids out of trouble, she also volunteers for a host of other causes. As we'll discover, Vicky's sense of justice and fair play come from hard personal experience. For Just Causes, I'm Jessica Short.
My name's Vicky Burrows, I'm 24 years old and I'm really passionate about helping people, and this is what I love doing. And I think I had a bit of maybe an ego of thinking I was going to change the world and I was going to make a difference. When I was in high school, I was given an opportunity to join a group called Young Christian Students that were doing social justice action and that were putting their faith and their beliefs into action. And I saw a group of high school students who were trying to do something, they were trying to change the world, and then that kind of opened up this whole world of social justice and community work and seeing how important it was to be treating everyone fairly and equally. Over a different amount of time I've been involved in a variety of different community work. So I work for the Fremantle Street Doctor, which is a mobile health clinic. It's a GP on wheels for providing healthcare for people that might not normally connect to a local GP, might have not been to a doctor in a while, and we go to places around Fremantle. So my job is the outreach worker there, so I engage with people as they come to the service and talk to them.
I met Vicky when I started high school, actually, in year 8. We were at Chisholm College together. We were friends pretty much ever since. Vicky's very passionate about anything to do with justice, and particularly the intersection of faith and justice activities, to kind of see how they work together. Really motivated about getting young people involved in volunteering and doing things which are fun and life-giving and really meaningful, and do have, you know, good positive effects, you know, in their lives, in broader society.
Save the Children is a child rights-based organisation which has a development and aid perspectives. I'm the senior youth worker currently, working on the Armidale Youth at Risk project. It's working with the predominantly Aboriginal groups of young people in the Armidale region, as well as, you know, looking at the issues of antisocial behaviour. We've now created a program to create a safe place to hang out, to learn new skills, to see the different potential that they have in a fun environment.
Vicky is someone who has very high integrity, and she's very committed to what she does in all spheres of her life. Specifically within Save the Children, she's very committed to creating a safe space for young people, and she always is about giving young people a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance. She's someone who is continually passionate and compassionate for those that she works with. As a manager, I think she is someone that's a delight to work with. It benefits the young people in the long term.
You're really shaped by the environment that you come from, and all those experiences in your childhood or your family make a difference, and definitely that's the case with me. My dad had multiple sclerosis for most of my childhood, my understanding, which is a debilitating neurological disease that affects your physical functioning as well as mental. So the connections in your brain don't quite link up, so you may want to walk but you can't walk. Seeing my dad's health degenerate over a long period of time and get to a point where he was quite sick, but also not making very good decisions and being taken advantage of in many situations, I suppose spurred a sense of justice in me, but also meant that I had to deal with a lot of issues of hope, and how do you have hope, and how do you try to continue on when you're actually feeling like your life's pretty shit.
Vicky is very nice and I like her, and she likes doing fun things with us.
I love helping people because I think that's what we're meant to do. We enjoy each other's company, we enjoy having fun and being with each other.